This meditation recounts my feeling about leaving my family and friends behind during the time of the Egyptian Revolution. As one of my least favorite sounds travels into my ear every morning with the alarm, a chilly breeze brushes my cheek, refreshing my face and body. This brings me to the familiar feeling of the warm, dry breezes of the Nile and my mother's palm gently touching my arm, waking me each morning. I can hear the sound of my husky panting in the 100-degree heat, protesting the very act of living in the desert, when he's supposed to be frolicking in the snows of Alaska. I feel this warm Egyptian sunshine that awaited me each day as I walked out the door to practice before school. But instantly, instead, I feel the cold wind that blows down through the valley hills, the snow that gently dusts my windowsill, and especially the cold reality of my family in Cairo. Safety is the primary concern. Did my mother avoid the protesters today? Are the riots near the house again? I hear the Arabic very clearly. It is the morning TV news coming to life after the electricity had failed for most of the previous day. It is June 28th, the summer before returning to Deerfield for my senior year. A few days before the awaited June 30th protests, the one-year anniversary date of when Mohammed Morsi took power, there's widespread disorder. The tensions are increasing every day. I receive Facebook messages constantly, especially from my friend Kika, written in a special code known only to the youth of Cairo, asking me to meet at 6 in the morning on the 30th on the northwest corner of Tahrir Square. The electricity is out more often than is on. The gasoline lines are insanely long, making it impossible for anyone to go to work. Workers are desperate to find jobs. There are rumors that the government bread supply that feeds the poor will run dry. The news then turns to condemn the Egyptians who are fleeing and escaping the turmoil of the country. They were described as cowards and traitors. The anchorman speaks on, who could possibly leave their country behind now when they are most needed? I consider his words. I never thought that the day would come where I would become that traitor who runs away. I panic again about the safety of my family. How could my brother and I have left my mother behind in this chaos? How could I not stand by her, by my friends, by my family? I blame myself and I wonder who I am. It is June 30th, the day of the second revolution. Rocks are being thrown every which way, crowds so strong and so thick that I can barely see in front of me. It is tighter than New York subway at a rush hour, but with no exit. I stand deep in the Tahrir demonstration, my feet are useless. I'm forced along with the pulsing crowd. My older brother is with me, grasping my arm as if I were a small child. The chants are powerful. الشعب يريد إسقاط النظام. The people demand the ouster of the regime. The crowd is mixed with the young and the old, the quiet and the screaming, but all with the same persistence in their eyes to bring down the regime. Flags fly furiously. The crowd is joyous 1 minute and depressed the next, as the police watches passively, despite the very near and real danger to its citizens. Military planes are flying above, trailing the colors of the Egyptian flag, thus showing their support of the protests. I'm exhausted, scared, lost, and my brother is suddenly swept away from me by the crowd. The burning sun is baking the crowd who are hot in their demands. I stumble and fall, dehydrated. I roll away from the feet of the masses into a tent and breathe with relief. I remain there for an hour in terror, recovering, unable to think. I know that I must try to find my brother, but it feels impossible, overwhelming. I'm unable to move. I roll over to snooze the alarm that is ringing in my ear, insisting upon my reality at Deerfield. I cannot ignore it. Class begins in 30 minutes. I must rise and stumble into the bathroom, raising a hand to avoid Dr. Oz' rebuke. I focus on the task at hand, trying to recall if my anatomy homework is in my backpack. I hope that I studied hard enough for today's math test. Not sure if I should bother consider heading to the dining hall for breakfast, but I need to arise and move on with the day. Instead, my thoughts jump to Kika, my good friend, who is like a brother to me. We competed on the squash court and in the classroom. We pushed each other, we joked, we pranked. He would always be there for me when I needed math help. In return, I would assist him with squash boasts and drives. After I left for Deerfield, we would gather when we could during holiday breaks over a Coke on 9th Street, just as we had gathered after school days as young boys. Kika was ever so proud of going to Cairo University for engineering, so full of ambition and so full of hope. He had to major in 2 engineering courses, not just one. Kika was walking to class so very proud of the presentation he was about to give that day, and beyond all measure of reason, Kika received a stray bullet in his left leg a few days before my flight to school. Due to the large number of wounded waiting to be treated, Kika was not taken care of for several days and suffered lasting consequences. Now, Kika walks only with a cane. While I'm here safely in the comforts of Deerfield, Kika and so many of my countrymen are trying to understand why such things have happened. I wonder if I should have gotten on the plane and left for the US. I'm filled with remorse, my heart constantly aches, and I blame myself, and I wonder who I am. The snow falls quietly, softly, layering the Deerfield hills with white calm. There is not an hour that goes by where I do not think about Kika, my mother, my friends and family that I left behind. The people defending their country in the ongoing riots. The calm of Deerfield can sometimes be deafening, sometimes even more deafening than the chants of the rebellion. What am I doing here? Even the 3 minutes it takes to walk from the Coke to the language building, my mind wanders to home. The snow seems unreal, the cold so deep. My body was not built to withstand these constant frozen blizzards. Standing still, I wonder what will befall my homeland. My only hope is that I'm receiving the education, the experience, the ability to return and rebuild my country. Repeated frustrations arise as I think about how the Western media still does not understand the protests in Egypt. The Time magazine cover that reported world's best protesters, world's worst Democrats, continues to irk me. Knowing that your country can be influenced by superpowers that do not understand the actual situation. Yes, people fought for democracy and we thought that we elected a good leader, but in the end, Morsi was only interested in the rights of his own religious group. There was no democracy because there was no constitution, no police to protect the people, no ability to improve the country without gas or power, no jobs except for those who supported him, no rights, especially for women. That is not democracy. So we did not overthrow a democracy last summer, we overthrew a selfish dictator. Now we're in a position where all that might be lost. Such a feeling of powerlessness, the momentum that the youth had gathered is now turning against itself. So many of my friends and mentors are now trying to leave the country, yet the broadcaster's negative remarks continue to ring in my ears. Cowards, traitors. But now more than ever, it seems like leaving is the best course of action. To fulfill one's destiny by gaining a broader perspective away from the chaos of home. But of course, there are huge doubts. I wonder if I should have left or should be beside my friends and family, making life more bearable for them. I blame myself and I wonder who I am. The Twitter feeds are endless. It is now believed that the country is on the edge of a civil war. The pro-Morsi backers seem determined to stay and fight more than ever. Each day it becomes worse. The people, including even my closest friends who stood with me at Tahrir Square, are crushed by what seems to be the only choice to place the military back in power. Such a desperate attempt for freedom. Thousands of lives lost for nothing. I'm glued to my phone to follow the updates. Hourly they appear on my screen, keeping me in touch with the action, but reminding me just how far away from home I am. It is scary how life goes on so peacefully for me here in the classrooms when many lives are at stake on a daily basis back home. I feel torn sitting and eating in the dining hall, getting dressed for the Valentine's Day dance, taking the luxury of education. Although I know it is for the best in the long run, it does not feel well today. I blame myself and I wonder who I am. I push on to another day. My hand finds my phone, turning off the alarm. I open my eyes, feeling grateful that the biggest concern of my day is today's algebra 2 test. Thank you.